we're gonna start somewhere that feels like Groundhog Day a little bit because um, there's been a lot of optimism as things have started opening up over the summer. Vaccination rates rose quickly and now have been kind of petering out, but still, inching towards numbers that scientists believe will help with herd immunity of some sort. But COVID numbers also rapidly rising now. And the first major festival of the fall festival season, which is kind of just the only festival season this year, has been canceled, which is the New Orleans Jazz Fest, citing concerns about rising COVID numbers, with the festival only being about 5 or 6 weeks away. I mean, is this just the start of all the dominoes falling and things being canceled and shutting back down again? You think?
Yeah, it sounds very possible, right? There was a lot of criticism of Lollapalooza, which went on without a hitch like normal, and thus had, lots of hundreds of thousand people packed in, as a festival should be. And in New Orleans Jazz Fest case, a state like Louisiana, which already has a very low vaccination rate, perhaps not the best idea, especially in the organizer's part when it comes to liability. So you understand why it came up. I think the New York Auto Show in the city canceled this year right after the vaccine mandate came out, but nothing else seems to have been canceled at this point. And in terms of like things that would get canceled, it's probably just the festivals that have been dated because all like the big arena tours have largely been planned to start in 2022 as is. So it's really just these festivals that perhaps might end up in limbo. Governor's Ball, um, Bonnaroo, Outside Lands. There's a
Firefly.
bunch
Yep.
coming up.
Yeah. It's it's kind of hitting that critical mass time too, right? Where I think starting mid September, these festivals are supposed to start going off. I think Bonnaroo might be the weekend, like middle of September ish, like maybe like the 16th or something like that, and then Firefly Governor's Ball the next weekend. They all kind of happen in a row, and so man, it's feeling like this is kind of a critical point. I just don't know what these festivals can even do. Like, you can have all the testing you want. Can you really mandate vaccine? How are you going to track that? Like the logistics of it all just
No.
feels impossible.
Yeah, no, there's no way. How can you? This feels like a waste of time because people will just circumvent it anyway when it's
Yep.
at that scale, and there's no like unified electronic way to measure that. Like I remember the comeback Foo Fighters show at MSG, I believe, was vaccine required.
Mhm.
Like 2 months ago, whenever that was. That was a while ago now, and that was much more easier to handle. But like something at this scale is just kind of seems impossible. There's just no infrastructure for it right now, unfortunately. So I guess I'd bet against it, but you know, then again, these organizers really want this money to stay because they really need it after not getting anything
Mhm.
last year. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some groups just push through anyway. You know?
Yeah, I think the difficult part is going to be how, like, the big headliners respond, right? The people that don't necessarily need the money, and if they're
Right.
going to say, "I'm not going to perform if you can't guarantee people there are vaccinated or everybody's tested or something along those lines." I think there's been word from, at least from the Firefly groups I follow, that some of the artists there are putting pressure on organizers to be doing so. So I don't, I just don't know, and I think we're starting to see that also things like the movies are starting to peter out now. Also, Suicide Squad, big movie, was released um, this past weekend in theaters and through HBO Max. So potentially the box office numbers starting to come down a bit isn't something that we should be too concerned about, but something to be monitoring. If people stop going to the movies as well, it could be just a sign that, like, people are just playing it safe again. I don't know. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
But in movies is much more complicated because it's very like movie to movie thing. But what is clear with all the trends is you're seeing big second weekend drops for everything. So it's like the hardcore enthusiasts are showing up, whether that's comic book fans, franchise fans, like for Black Widow and Fast and Furious, families for Space Jam, or even film nerds for A24's The Green Knight. No matter what it is, you're seeing a big drop in that second week, which shows you that casual movie going is basically non-existent right now. And it doesn't help casual movie going when a lot of stuff is available on premium VOD or even for free on streaming in the case of the Warner Brothers movies. So movies is very complicated still, and you're seeing more positive things and negative things depending on what the movie is. So there's a lot to get into there. But yeah, I mean, the movie theater box office comeback is very, very slow. That goes without saying. Just look at the data.
Oh, man, I just hope if you're listening to this and you've had hesitancy to take the step to protect yourself and get vaccinated, like please do your research and take that step. Because I personally want to have these things. I want other people to be able to enjoy these things. Another year of no concerts, middling movie success, just something I don't know if I could. I would feel very good about. So, get vaccinated. Do your research.